Welcome to episode 20 of the Ask the Law Firm Seller Show. My name is Jeremy Poock and I lead Senior Attorney Match. In today's episode, we'll have two segments, a Q&A segment where we will address three questions and a Poock's Post section. So let's jump right into it with today's first question. So our first question today is, I'm considering retiring within the next 12 months by closing my law office. Could I sell my law practice instead? Thanks so much for that question. We always, question when lawyers approach us and they tell us that we're ready, that is a senior attorney has led a law firm, led a practice, led a career for 30 plus years and is considering just to hang up their cleats. What we point out to senior attorneys is that before you hang up your cleats and just retire, please think about what the value is that you've developed over the course of your career. And the major value that lawyers have as they're considering whether you're considering retiring within the next 12 months, 24 months, or whatever that time frame that you have in mind for when you're considering to retire, the major asset that lawyers and law firms has is that book of business that you've developed over the course of your career. Your book of business consists of a client list and a referral source list. And typically law firms have developed that book of business over the course literally of decades by so much hard work, in-person networking, non-digital thought leadership. Think about all the CLEs that you have led over the course of your career, articles that you have written, events that you've attended and spoken at, events that you've sponsored. Your law firm placed ads in all types of ad books and developed goodwill in the community of where you practice, as well as paid advertising that you've invested in over the course of your career has all led to a book of business that has value. Now let's think about, all right, who does that present value to? When you're considering retiring, considering selling your law firm, what we consistently see in the marketplace is that growing law firms want and need the books of business that senior attorney led firms have developed. And really, growing law firms, what they need to boost their growth is three resources that senior attorney led firms have. First and foremost is that book of business. Every law firm needs new clients. Senior attorneys and senior attorney led firms have developed books of business over their careers, and they offer that major resource that all growing law firms need, which is new clients. Secondly, is that many senior attorney led firms, they have an experienced workforce. You have other lawyers that work in your practice. You have talented paralegals and legal assistants. That experienced workforce is also what growing law firms need, because even if you're presenting tons, that is tens, hundreds, sometimes even 1,000 plus clients, question is, who's going to do the work? Senior attorney led firms present an experienced workforce to growing law firms as well. And then another critical resource today in the mid 2020s is digital content. Growing law firms today recognize that they need to get the attention of new clients by multi-channel digital marketing. And even though senior attorney-led firms today may not necessarily be developing as much business as their friendly competitor growing firms, which by the way, again, is your best buyer for your practice, what those growing law firms need is the treasure chest of digital content that many senior attorney-led firms are sitting on. What does that mean? It means that you've developed subject matter knowledge in multiple practice areas over the course of your career that growing law firms want and need to convert that subject matter knowledge into posts on LinkedIn, into e-newsletters, podcasts, videos, that all of that subject matter knowledge today can be converted into digital content that growing law firms want and need. Next question is, all right, how do you get paid? Right? If you're considering selling your law firm in the next 12 months or another time frame, question is, how do you get paid on that book of business that you've developed over the course of your careers? And what we are finding in the marketplace is that law firm sales 1.0 is the typical, what I'll call a typical vehicle sale model for how senior attorney and senior attorney-led firms are selling their practices primarily to growing law firms. The structure of those sales are earn-out payments payable over time, where that primary value component, or really primary value components that senior attorney-led firms have, are their client lists and referral source lists. And growing law firms are paying a percentage of the revenues that come from that book of business, from the clients and referral sources attributable to a selling law firm, paying a percentage of those revenues over a negotiated period of time. That is how most senior attorney led law firm sales are happening. Then the question is, if we're transferring our clients to a growing law firm, and when we're transferring those clients to a growing law firm, and that growing law firm is then paying a percentage of the revenues from the billings to those clients, well, how does the transfer happen? And what we see in the marketplace, and what we call the flux capacitor really of our model, the senior attorney match model, is trust transfer. That is, senior attorneys, when they're selling their law firms, are not necessarily sailing off, into the future outside of continuing to practice. Doesn't mean that you're practicing full time, but it does mean for the sale to work as effectively as it can for senior attorneys over whichever period of time, could be as short as a couple of months, could be as long as a couple of years, to transfer the trust of their clients and their referral sources to the lawyers at the law firms that they join. And that trust transfer happens in three ways. First way it happens is in person, what we call old school. You meet at the office, you meet over dinner, breakfast, lunch, drinks, introduce clients and referral sources to the lawyers at the law firms that you join. What we're finding in the 2020s, particularly, of course, post 2020, is that trust transfer absolutely happens today extremely efficiently and very well via Zoom or another form of video platform. That is, client of senior attorney contacts senior attorney, who doesn't necessarily need to be in the office, can really be anywhere in the world today, and can set up a Zoom meeting, transfer the trust to the lawyer or lawyers at the firm that are going to handle that client's matter, explain to the client in a Zoom meeting that, I joined the XYZ firm X number of months ago, even years ago, and I trust attorney Smith, let's just say, to handle your matter just as competently as I always have treated you and represented you. You're in great hands with attorney Smith. Senior attorney then leaves the Zoom meeting. Attorney Smith stays with your clients, represents your clients, bills your clients, and then you share in part in the revenues. Trust transfer absolutely works. And then the third way that trust transfer happens is via social media. And as you've got that book of business, your client list, and your referral source list, growing law firms will want to be reaching out to your clients via social media. Constant Contact is a great example. Sending an e-newsletter to your clients, letting your clients know that you're still of counsel, you're still associated with the firm, and the firm handles, let's say that growing law firm that's purchasing your firm. The growing law firm can continue to handle all of the matters that you've represented your clients on. And often growing law firms are offering additional services. So if your clients then receive an e-newsletter and they learn that, oh, the firm that you joined also offers, let's say, family law, and a client of yours has a family member who's going through a divorce, could very well call the firm, say, you know what, I'm a client of such and such senior attorney. I understand that you guys handle divorces. Well, unfortunately, my family member is getting divorced. Could you handle it? Yes, they handle it. That trust transfer is happening. Therefore, all via social media, via that constant contact, the client is then attributable to senior attorney, is paid a percentage of the revenues on that all important book of business that's transferred to a growing law firm, and the growing law firm can represent your clients because you trust the lawyers at that growing law firm, and your clients and referral sources will trust them too once they know and are assured that you have transferred their trust in you to the lawyers at the firm that you join. Okay, so for our second question today is, what are the top 3 reasons why senior attorneys question selling to a growing law firm? Okay, great. So when we explain to senior attorneys that our preferred option for them to consider when considering selling their law practices is to sell to a growing law firm. We're often receiving three pushbacks, okay, in terms of the concerns that senior attorneys raise about why not to consider joining a growing law firm. So, just like any lawyer would do, let's attack those issues. Let's raise the issues, not necessarily attack them, but let's debunk them. Okay. So the first is, well, wait a second. Now is not a good time to make a change, anyhow, right? Like I'm thinking of retiring. I'd like to retire. I'd like to sell my law practice. But when I hear about joining a growing law firm, well, maybe now is not the time for change. Well, I can share with senior attorneys today, that is, attorneys that have practiced more than 30 years, that what we are seeing in the marketplace is that there is absolute disruption when it comes to business development in the legal industry. Business development in the legal industry was disrupted in 2020 when the entire world pivoted digitally. And finally, the legal industry was pivoted and disrupted by Google, as well as has happened in multiple other industries. So, what does that mean? What that means is that yesteryear's rainmaker attorney, that is, most senior attorneys who built their business pre Google on a word of mouth basis, what we are seeing today is that they're generating less clients because clients today, would be clients that is, they are skipping over word of mouth and they're going straight to Uncle Google to search for the best fill in the blank attorney near them. So when it comes to whether now is the right time to make a change, your most valuable asset when it comes to selling your law firm is your book of business. If your book of business is actually decreasing in value because you're not adding the same number of clients as you added in that pre Google word of mouth era, then the more time you wait to make a change, the less valuable your law firm will be. Because if you have less clients to offer to any seller, then your practice is just going to be less valuable. Growing law firms, they want and need that book of business that you have. So if you're thinking that now is not the right time to change, we highly recommend that this is actually the very best time to change, because that disruptor, Uncle Google, will continue disrupting the legal industry. And for those lawyers and law firms that continue to rely on word of mouth, our concern for those firms is you're going to generate less clients, have a less valuable book of business over time. Hence, that concern that now is not the right time to make the change, we push back on that and say now is the right time to make the change. Is the right time to consider selling your law firm by joining a growing law firm that wants and needs what you have, which is your book of business, and you want to sell that book of business. Join a growing law firm when your book of business is as filled as possible with clients and referral sources. Okay, the second issue that senior attorneys raise when we suggest that your preferred buyer of your practice is a growing law firm is the concern that, oh my goodness, if I join a growing law firm and practice there for X number of years, then I'm just going to have a boss again. And at this point in my career, when I'm in my late 50s, 60s, into my 70s, I don't want to have a boss. I can reassure you, in our experience in working with multiple senior attorneys, that when our clients sell their firms to growing law firms and typically practice as of counsel or non-equity partners, sometimes partners at those firms for months and sometimes years, our clients, that is the senior attorney sellers who join growing law firms, they do not have a boss. And the reason why you don't have a boss is because you're walking into that firm with clients and referral sources. So unlike the 20 something previous self of yours, right? When you had a boss for that first, second, or third job that you had and you didn't have a book of business, well, sure, as a 20 something walking into a new firm, yes, you're going to have a boss. You're going to have a quota for number of billable hours that you are expected to fulfill. At this point in your career, when growing law firms want and need that all important book of business that you deliver, our clients, they make their own hours, they travel often they delegate work out, they pick and choose the work that they want to do. Simply stated, when you join a growing law firm as part of selling your practice, you do not have a boss. The third pushback that we get, and really the third concern that we get from senior attorneys when they're considering joining a growing law firm as the option for selling their practice, is, well, wait a second, my internal successor, I should really give my internal successor another shot, because this is the year when my internal successor is going to walk down the hall and is going to offer to purchase my law practice. And so here I want to be really clear that by and large, any would be internal successor of your law firm does not want to purchase your practice, and they can't afford to purchase your practice either. So why is that? What we find is that the who senior attorneys could consider as an internal successor to your practice, well, just as a reminder, you hired these people at one point. You hired them as key employees. When you hired them, they wanted three things from you. They wanted three things from you when you hired them. They wanted a reliable, predictable, and safe job. That's why they applied for a job at your practice. And what we see often in the marketplace is those same key employees who you hired and they wanted a reliable, predictable, and safe job when you hired them. Well, fast forward to when you're thinking of selling your law firm, they still want only a reliable, predictable, and safe job. Hence why your key employee lawyers are just not going to walk down the hallway for as much as you would love them to. They're not going to walk down the hallway and offer to purchase your practice. Instead, they are tremendous, what we'll call, maybe not necessarily the right word, they're tremendous assets, attributes to growing law firms that want and need not only your book of business, but they want and need the talented, experienced workforce that senior attorneys present to growing law firms. Okay, so for our next question today. Our question is, why have we entered the age of the vanishing rainmaker? So here we are in the mid 2020s, and we have entered, in terms of the legal industry, we have entered into the post 2020 age of the vanishing rainmaker, which is really important when it comes to senior attorney led firms. That is, senior attorneys are lawyers who have practiced for more than 30 years. They built their practices pre Google. They built their practice in what we called the age of the word of mouth business development, when senior attorneys pre Google were out and about going to all types of networking meetings, charity dinners, hosting and leading CLE events in person, and just handing out hundreds of business cards, maybe even thousands of business cards over the course of a given year. As a question to anyone who's watching or listening to this now, when was the last time that you ordered 500 new business cards because you handed out those business cards at networking events? We're just not seeing it as much. Trust me, I loved going to networking events. This morning, I went to the local diner and where we live, and I said to my daughter, pre COVID, this place was packed with people, all types of business cards being handed out. Yes, maybe they went to Starbucks instead today, or maybe they went to another cafe instead, but this place was almost dormant at 8:30 in the morning, and it used to be absolutely packed. And I really attribute that to the fact that we are now in the age of the vanishing rainmaker. What does that mean when it comes to the value of senior attorney-led firms? What it means is that in place of that rainmaker attorney, what we're seeing today is that we are now in the 3.0 era for the legal industry, which is the digital era in the legal industry, where clients today are bypassing yesterday's rainmaker and they're going straight to Google as they're searching for the best fill in the blank attorney near me. And as a result, senior attorneys who continue relying upon word of mouth to bring clients into their law practices, just a strong warning to you is that by relying on yesteryear's word of mouth, as compared to recognizing that we are now in the 3.0 digital era for the legal industry, you're just going to develop less clients as you did in yesteryear. And if you're developing less clients as you did in yesteryear, unfortunately, your book of business is going to become less valuable over time. And hence, we highly recommend to those senior attorney led firms that are not adopting multi channel digital marketing for their law practices that they seriously consider selling their law practices in the mid 2020s, because this age of the vanishing rainmaker is going to unfortunately result in your practice having less value over time. Okay, so for today's Poock's post, we'll point out that there are 3 trends for law firm sales in 2025. The first trend for law firm sales in 2025 that we foresee is really a continuing trend that growing law firms will continue purchasing senior attorney led firms, because growing law firms have 3 needs as they continue to grow their law practices. They need new clients, they need an experienced workforce, and they need digital content. Senior attorney led firms meet each of those 3 needs because senior attorney led firms offer a book of business that's filled with clients and referral sources. Senior attorney led firms have the senior attorney founders of the firms plus an experienced workforce, lawyers and non lawyers at the firm that provide the talented and experienced legal needs that growing law firms have to continue to provide legal services to their own clients, as well as the clients of senior attorney led firms that they acquire. And that third need that senior attorney led firms meet for growing law firms is digital content. That is, that senior attorney led firms today are literally sitting on treasure chests of digital content that involves converting the subject matter knowledge that lawyers at the firm have developed over the course often of decades, and converting that into digital content that growing law firms need today as they're investing more and more, and rightfully so, in multi-channel digital marketing. The second trend for law firm sales in 2025 that we foresee is that investing in Google and digital marketing will continue to increase business development for growing law firms, as well as the value for firms that invest in digital marketing. We are now in the age of really 2 ages. Age number 1 is the age of the vanishing rainmaker, right? The lawyer who would be handing out all types of business cards at events today is just becoming less and less, frankly, relevant, because clients today are bypassing yesteryear's rainmaker attorney and going straight online to search for lawyers and law firms to hire. Those lawyers and law firms that are investing into multi-channel digital marketing, right? They're investing in Google for clients to be able to find them. They're investing in their websites so that once a client finds a lawyer or a law firm, they can read about that lawyer or law firm. They can know, like, and trust a lawyer and law firm, even without having spoken directly with any lawyers at the firm. They can also then check out their social media platforms. They can review their LinkedIn profiles, their posts on Facebook, their posts on Twitter, their videos on YouTube, even their videos on TikTok. Clients are doing due diligence on lawyers today, just like we do due diligence on everything and anything in our lives. And those law firms that are attracting the attention of would-be clients, and that they can show data analytics that new clients are coming to their firm today, not just because Attorney Smith or Attorney Jones or Attorney Cohen is the best fill-in-the-blank attorney, and you have to go see Jones, Smith, or Cohen to fulfill their legal needs. No, instead, if the law firm where any of those attorneys work in practice, if that law firm is developing brand value, digital value, because they're investing in Google and they're investing into multi-channel digital marketing, the business development in the short term for those firms is going to go up because the attention of the clients is looking digitally when they're looking to hire law firms. So the law firm revenues in the short term is going to continue to go up for those firms that are investing in digital marketing. And then also the value of the firm will go up because the firms are going to be able to show that it's not just because of the goodwill of any given attorneys, it's because of the brand value and digital value of the firms as a result of that return on investment in digital marketing that we absolutely foresee in 2025 and beyond, that this trend in law firm sales is going to be you invest more in digital marketing and the value of your practice will increase. The third trend for law firm sales that we see in 2025 is the arrival of law firm sales 2.0. The distinction between law firm sales 1.0 and 2.0 is the following. Law firm sales 1.0 is completely dependent upon how a lawyer or law firm's book of business will perform over time. As a result of that contingency of how the book of business will perform over time, law firm sales 1.0 is based upon earnouts. That is, senior attorneys selling under law firms sales 1.0 will be paid a percentage of revenues that is derived from the book of business payable over a fixed number of years. In law firm sales 2.0, the distinction is that there will be upfront money paid by buyers at a closing table that will be in addition to the earnout payments. And why and how will buyers of law firms pay upfront money at a closing table? It will be based upon the digital value and brand equity that growing law firms today are developing by investing in multi-channel digital media. By investing in multi-channel digital media, we are seeing today the rise of branded law firms where clients are coming to firms because they are learning about and contacting firms because they're finding them online, they're learning about their brand in their given market, whether that is local, regional, even now national. And when sellers of firms that have developed digital value and brand equity can show data analytics that clients are coming in because of that brand and digital value, then buyers are going to be able to reliably put reliable multiples on sales of law firms. And very importantly, banks will be able to lend upon the data analytics supporting how clients are coming to law firms that qualify for law firm sales 2.0. That has started in 25, that will continue this year, and that will continue well into the 2020s. So we see three trends for law firm sales in 2025. The first trend is that growing law firms will continue to purchase senior attorney-led firms because senior attorney-led firms offer the following three resources that growing law firms want and need: new clients, an experienced workforce, and digital content. Second trend is that Google and multi-channel digital marketing will increase the value of growing law firms in the short term by increasing the number of clients that will retain your practices, as well as in the longer term, where you will get a higher value of your practice by having data analytics that will show that your investments, that ROI in multi-channel digital marketing, is leading to clients coming to your practices because of developing brand and equity value in your practices. And that leads to the third trend. The third trend in 2025 and for the remainder of the 2020s is that law firm sales 2.0 has arrived, and that law firm sales 2.0 will have two components to how senior attorney-led firms are paid. They'll be paid, number one, on an earnout basis, how the book of business that you've developed over the course of your career, how that will perform, and there'll be revenue sharing over a negotiated number of years. And there will also be a fixed payment at a closing table based upon the digital and brand equity value that growing law firms are developing today as a result of that return on investment on multi-channel digital marketing for your law firms. And that is episode 20 of the Ask the Law Firm Seller Show.